want to make sure that you are in it for the long run. You know, you want to make sure that, you know, you have the capacity to continue this thing forward. Staying consistent. We've already told you that consistency is the key in building and growing your platform, right? And one way to do that and make sure that it consistently grows is through long-term content planning.
Welcome to Charlotte Podcast.Studio. I'm Tay, the studio manager here at Charlotte Podcast.Studio.
And I'm Shamar, Tay's trusty sidekick.
This episode, we are going to cover how to build a powerful content strategy for your podcast. So it doesn't matter if you're just starting out or if you're someone that's been doing this for a long time and you're trying to figure out how to hone in on your strategy. Mm-hmm. I'm choosing my words carefully because I know that is not what I was about to say, y'all. That is not what I was about to say. But we got some strategies, we got some insights to help you create a compelling.
I like that
compelling,
yes,
content strategy that resonates with your audience. I told y'all, I'll be working on my big words, y'all. I'll be telling y'all, I'll be remembering them sometimes. But anyway, so with that being said, one thing that we do, well, I'm gonna say because I'm usually the one that's got to do it. Because Shamar be like, no, you just let me know and we'll go from there. So I like to plan. I'm a planner. I like to make sure that I have structure with anything and almost everything that I do. Like some things you can make a plan and things don't always go according to plan. Mm-hmm. But for me, I like to at least have one. So when you plan your episode, know your audience, know who you're talking to. That way you know how to structure your plan. That way you know what content to put in to your episodes to make sure you're talking to the right people. I was leaving that for you.
Jump in, yes.
Hey, you it. It's cool.
Planning and structuring your content, planning your episode, structuring that content. Listen, like you said, knowing your audience, I think is key, because once you understand who your listeners are, you can understand how to deliver the information to them, right? You don't want to be delivering at you don't want to be using these big words if your audience is teenagers, you know. You don't want to be using all of these
I say don't use simple, basic words either if that's not what your audience resonate with.
Yeah, and slang. If your audience don't resonate with slang, or if they do, you know, it all depends. If you know your audience, you will be able to know how to speak to them and how to deliver to them.
Yeah. So you can use listener feedback. You can use your analytics from your hosting platform. Mm-hmm. Your YouTube or Vimeo, wherever you're posting your podcast at, and it gives you analytics, comments, you know, let's look at those things. You can do a survey to gather insights to understand exactly what your niche audience is actually looking for, or what they're listening to your podcast for. I always want to say channel. I mean, it's pretty much your channel, but you know, your podcast. So keep that in mind as you hone in on trying to figure out or knowing what your audience is. Understanding.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to jump in there real quick as far as that surveying your audience. Take the guesswork out of what you're going to talk about. You know, is nothing better than to ask your active, engaged listeners, what is it that they want to hear? What do they want to talk about? You know, you can, if you don't ask them, then what you'll find yourself doing is, hey, well, let me do it this way today, or let me do it this way on this episode. And then some episodes do better than others. You'll be able to see that in the data, but just simply ask them, you know. And the survey does not have to be you about to email a 2-minute survey to your audience. The survey is simply, hey, get in the comments and let us know what you'd like to hear.
For instance, comment below if there's a topic or anything that y'all want us to cover in a podcast episode. How to start one, why to start one, what else? strategies like what
So
we're
you're
doing
giving
today.
them the answers now?
No, I'm just saying, like, well, sometimes you got to give examples, because I am an exemplar. Yes, I said exemplar. But, but, if there's something that y'all want us to talk about, discuss, go over, cover, whatever, leave that comment down below. Even if you go back and you need us to hone in or refine on previous episodes, do that. Go there or, comment below right now and just say, hey, in episode so-and-so, you guys talked about this. Can you elaborate? But I'm gonna leave that alone.
Tay just did his first survey. Congratulations.
I did that. That was me by myself with him.
So talk about, because Tay is the one that does all of this. Like he said, I just sit here and wait for the results. Talk to us about how you create an episode outline and honestly some of the best practices.
So creating an episode, I pretty much look at things that are on YouTube, and it's like, well, they didn't go in depth about that. Mm-hmm. They didn't really explain that. So now I go on YouTube to see if there's anybody else talking about this subject, or talking about this very niche topic about whatever. And I say, you know what? Like, oh, they talked about this in podcasting, but can they explain this one little piece? And if they didn't explain it, they didn't go into depth, then I go look for someone. This is still part of my example. I still go look to see, okay, so you got Sony cameras, you got Canon cameras. Oh, okay, they say that Canon is better than Sony, but why? Mm-hmm. So now I'm looking to understand why Canon is better than Sony. And then it comes out, okay, well, that was just their opinion. Mm-hmm. So now I create an episode to say, this is why, based on facts, based on specs, based on sales. And it's not necessarily that Canon is better than Sony. Let me put this in there too. I use a Sony. So don't go in the comments talking about Sony is better. I'm not getting into that argument. But what I'm saying is a lot of things are based on opinion. I would come up with an episode and say, hey, based on my personal opinion, because that's what people don't say. Or I'll say, based on these facts, this is why Canon is better than Sony. And these are the things that make Canon better than Sony, not just an overall broad spectrum. I'm going to hone in and say, okay, Canon does this better than Sony. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people say Canon color science is better, but a lot of people say that Sony is better because you can actually manipulate so many different spectrums of the coloring space. So I kind of just,
Since I don't have batons, I'm going to use these when I need to reel Tay back in.
But all of this is like how I create my episode outline, though. Like, is really.
I'm gonna tell you. So can you?
I really go that deep into it. You know what I'm saying?
I know you do. So what I heard was you understand your topic, you research it as well, and you want to make sure that you're going in depth into that particular topic. So
yes.
Do you create a beginning, middle, and end?
So what I do, I take it back to high school. I don't know if we did it in middle school, but I take it back to high school.
These right here beside.
No, I got you. I take it back to high school. You have your 5-paragraph essay. Okay. You got your introduction. You have your 3 bullet points or your 3 topics. Then you have your conclusion. That's what I do. I was getting there. But since I was rushed, let's go ahead and talk about it now. So in that example, my introduction, why people say Canon is better than Sony. Then I will explain in first paragraph, well, this is why, and this is what they're referring to. And then I would use my second paragraph, and then my third paragraph would be more of but is Canon really better than Sony? And then I would elude in my conclusion, catch me on the next episode. So to bring everything around, because I told y'all, I go left. I told y'all. But to give an example, because again, I am an exemplar.
Yes.
I'm giving you this example to let you know this is how I sit and how deep I go into my topic with creating my outline. And I'm going to shut up and let Shamar talk.
Oh, man, listen. So I like that, now. and the reason why I jumped in there too is because, yes, I knew you were explaining your process of research, and then you were going through that. But I wanted you to tell them up front, beginning, middle, end, conclusion, what have you, so that they can follow. Because some of these people don't even know nothing about Canon or Sony. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, what? And I started thinking, he talking about color correction?
Okay, so I'm a videographer. Again, I do video. So I prefer Canon for certain things. I prefer Sony for certain things. You will never catch me with a Nikon in my hand ever.
He's still talking about cameras, y'all.
But
he's still talking about
I'm still talking about cameras. So as a videographer, I went with something that was relatable. So let me dial back. You know what? I'm not even going to dial back. I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to stop.
I got it. So listen, make sure you guys outline your main points, right? And then also have key messages wrapped in there. And then you want to have smooth transitions between segments, like I'm going to do right now. So let's talk about, we've outlined the episode as well, right? We talked about surveying earlier, survey your audience so you would know what it is that they want to hear, and even in that, you're not going to please everybody You're not going to be able to please all the people all the time. Some people like certain things, other people like other things, so you also want to mix up your formats, right?
Yep.
So what you've seen thus far is this is a 2-person discussion. You got the studio manager and his trusty sidekick giving you all game on how to start a podcast, why it's important, and all the nuggets that you need about podcasting. But you can also do a interview type of episode where you bring in an industry expert, or you can bring in a podcaster. For us, using us as an example, you could bring in a podcaster and ask them why they got into the game and stuff. And then you can do another one where it's storytelling. I could sit here and talk to you about, the journey of getting this place open. Tay could talk to you about the journey of he had to come here and clean this place up. It's so many different stories that we have to tell, right?
Yeah, that's a story. We're going to save that for a later episode too. Yes.
And then you can also do like a panel discussion where you have multiple people, let's say 4 to 5 people, on one panel, and you all are talking about a particular topic. Now that gives you variety. It helps break up the quote unquote monotony, right? I don't want to say that your podcast is monotonous or ours is either, but I'm just saying that just breaks up that usual, Now, yes, my favorite might be to see, taking his sidekick sitting here kicking it, but somebody else's favorite might be the storytelling, because some people just like to hear somebody talk about the drama and the ups and downs and things that they've been through,
Yep.
Yeah.
Talking about that journey. We will, you know what? Yeah, we're going to make that an episode.
Yes.
We're going to make that an episode, because that episode, I ain't going to lie, we might not have to create an outline for that one, because we got
not
stories.
Not at all.
Not at all.
And I think that, and what I should have said was I called it storytelling, which it is storytelling, right? That's a storytelling format, but you can also do a solo episode, right? And for that one, I would definitely let Tay do a solo episode.
I saw that coming.
Listen, you don't have to reel him in. He'll talk to y'all for 45 minutes about his cleanup efforts over here.
Yeah, I can, come up with an episode, talk about how I even ended up here, just giving y'all like examples of how to not just make sure that every episode is the same. Because I'm sure, I feel like a pun was intended. Is it a pun? I feel like something was just dropped to let me know, like, hey, one day I'm not going to be here. Y'all heard that? You heard that. I heard that. That's how I feel. So okay, well, right. he give me episodes in advance, so I got to go create outlines for those, But definitely mix it up, because again, you pay attention to what your audience is asking for. Pay attention to your community as you're in the process of building this community. Make sure you're engaging with them so you can understand or figure out what they're actually listening for, or what they like and prefer over the other ones. Somebody might be like, man, I don't want to hear two people talk about this stuff. I just need one person to give me, a 15-minute episode. They're not looking for us to do 20 minutes or an hour at the longest, because I don't think we ever gonna go longer than an hour unless it's like a live, but that's another subject for another day.
Or they could be like, I'm so sick of the sidekick cutting Tay off. Let Tay go on that tangent. Let him go all the way left. Somebody could say that.
I will go. We might have to go live, and y'all might have to send the fishing reel emoji to me, like, bring it back, bro. Bring it back. Cause and that reminds me, like, building your community. Like, I like Drink Champs, but the thing that I don't like is when Nori goes left. Somebody's asking a question, like he'll ask a question like, so how did y'all make this song? And then, they're like, yeah, well, we were just riding in the car one day and I heard that, DJ so-and-so, my producer was playing this beat, and Nori will cut them off and say, so what kind of car was it?
Right.
And he might be like, man, back then, man, we had that Pinto. We didn't even have no heat, man. But, we listened to it on this doggone cassette, and I sat in the back seat and wrote my verse, and it's like, let's drink to that. And it's like,
right.
So how did he create the song, though? Like, I hear him say that, but it's like, come on, man. So, yeah, build your community and know what they ask for, know what they want, know what they require or request is a better word. Know what they're coming to you for when you're building your community.
Absolutely.
Because, again, I'm here because I want to know what Wu-Tang went through. As far as Method Man's aspect, I want to know what was going on with DMX. I want him to tell the story about him doing this freestyle, and he says something along the lines of, and I'm gonna let his dog get him. It's like the dog growls, is like, chill, man, I got him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to hear how that came about. But don't cut the audience off in that aspect, because like you said, Shamar really don't cut me off. Sometimes he's cutting me off intentionally, and I know, because again, I'll go left. But know what your community is asking for. Use your social media platforms. Do your email newsletters. I don't even know if people still do e-letters or not, but
I know I still get them in my inbox.
Yeah, I think we call those spam most of the time.
Not all of them.
Not all of them,
but yeah,
some
definitely.
of them.
Well, my inbox, it also filters it out. Some of them that just go on and on multiple times a day, they automatically put that in a spam folder. I don't even have to see it.
Yeah, so keep that in mind too. If you decide to do an email newsletter, you've got online forums. You have what else? I know I'm missing something, but encourage discussions.
Absolutely.
Along your audience, your community. Get into the habit, like I'm still trying to get in the habit of calling them your community and not just your audience, because these are people that you're going to interact with on some level. Doesn't matter how big or small. Your podcast can have 200 listeners. They're 200 diehard listeners. Engage with them.
Absolutely.
Don't force yourself to go find more people. Let them come.
That's the key. That's the key. Engaging with them and creating that sense of camaraderie, creating that tribe. I've heard so many different people call their community their tribe. And the thing is that if you engage with them and you connect with them, they're going to do the work for you. They're going to tell, oh, y'all got to listen to this. Y'all have to listen to what they're talking about. They will start to tell their family and friends. It's just like a business, when you receive good service or receive a good product from a company, you're going to tell your network, hey, check this out. I got this, and I think you might like it as well. So engaging that audience, that community is going to help with building your podcast. Is going to help with this whole content strategy that we're talking about.
Yeah. And, going back to telling stories, it allows people to, what's the word I want to use? It allows people to connect on an emotional level. Especially if it's a one person telling a story. You can just listen to this one person go over this topic, we'll just stick with topic because I was trying to find something else to say. But you give them this one topic, like Shamar said, for me to sit down and say, hey, story time, how this studio became this space, or how I came here, how I ended up here, to let you know how I got into podcasting. I'm giving you my history. So now you know me more on a emotional and intellectual level, because I'm able to, in that episode, speak freely. You're able to know who I am and say, oh, wow. And I can tell you now, and I'm going ahead and let him know too, they're going to want to know about Shamar.
Come on.
They're going to want to know. You got to give the people what they want, So, and when you tell
yes,
your
I am
story,
a pleasure to be around.
there's more to the story. Way more to the story. I'm just going to put that out there. But, in the midst of that, you give your real life examples that resonate with your audience. You give case studies. What else is it? Just anything and everything when you're telling a story to make people know who you are better and understand you better.
Mm-hmm. And I think with that, to that point of the connecting emotionally, listen, y'all can't tell me how many times people will purchase a car or a house because they fell in love with it.
Right.
Emotional purchases are the most powerful purchase. If they connect with it emotionally, they're going to do what they can to make sure that they get it. So same thing for you. If they connect with you, your brand, your podcast, then they're going to do what they have to do to make sure they can continue to support that, be in the presence of it, and, just totally engage with it. So that's definitely what you want to do, is make that connection, establish that connection. And then once you establish that connection, listen, you can do things like we said earlier in another episode, was merch. You got these sayings, because I'm going to get me a t-shirt that says trusty sidekick or Tay's trusty sidekick. I
wasn't going to say anything about that yet, but yeah, those shirts are probably going to be here. Pre-order now. Right. Pre-order now.
And you know what Tay just did? Oh my God, that transition. I don't know if you planned that or not, but the next thing was to do a call to action. And Tay just gave you a perfect example of the call to action. Each episode, you hear people all the time say like, subscribe, share, visit our website, go check us out on social media, get in the comments and tell us XYZ. All of those are examples of calls to action. And it's very important to do that, because you need to let your audience know what it is that you want them to do. If it's simply sharing that because you want to get more exposure, let them know. Give people permission to do what it is that you want them to do.
Yeah. And even with the whole call to action, hey, follow us on Instagram, Charlotte Podcast.Studio. Check us out on Facebook. We don't have TikTok. But if you think that we need a TikTok, comment below, because I can tell you I don't have TikTok for myself. But if you think for what we do, we need a TikTok, again, this is a call to action, but it's a real call to action at the same time. Comment that below. Let us know, hey, you guys should do a TikTok. Tell us what you want to see on this TikTok. Because the other thing that you have to keep in mind, even with your call to action or your planning or anything, when you do anything content related, understand each platform has its own identity.
Absolutely.
You don't go to Facebook to see what you can get on Instagram. You go on Instagram, you're just scrolling, you're seeing pictures, you're seeing these shorts. You go to YouTube to be more so educated. You go on Instagram to be entertained. You go to TikTok to really be entertained. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, seriously, if you really think that we need to create a TikTok account, comment that below, because I won't do it if we don't get that. So I don't know where else I was going because I went left. But
he not only did he give you an example of a call to action to transition us in, he just gave you yet another call to action. So I need y'all to do that. So on to that note, let's talk about now more long-term content planning and, episode scheduling, and I think that the best way, well, first off, let's be clear with long-term planning. If you're going to do the podcast, you want to make sure that you are in it for the long run. You know, you want to make sure that, you know, you have the capacity to continue this thing forward. Staying consistent. We've already told you that consistency is the key in building and growing your platform, right? And one way to do that and make sure that it consistently grows is through long-term content planning, you know. And I'll say, let's talk about the content calendar, or creating a content calendar is just the same as scheduling or creating these episodes and the outlines of the episodes. Now you got to figure out how you're going to roll those episodes out. And I'm definitely going to kick it over to my guy, because that's all his lane right there.
Let me clear my throat. This right here. This right here. So, create your content calendar. Batch record, which is another thing that you really have to hone in on. So, if you're doing audio, I'm gonna bounce around between these two things with creating your calendar and batch recording. So, let's say you start out
real quick. Can you tell them batch recording?
So, batch recording. Yeah, that's where I was going.
Oh, my bad. Tell me to shut up. You told me to do it, Shamar, so let me do it.
Right. So batch recording is when you take multiple episodes that you have outlined, scripted, you know, however you want to word it. And you literally, especially if it's audio, you don't have to worry about changing your clothes. You don't have to worry about anything except you sit down. Again, like we've said before, if your safe space to record, your quiet zone is in that closet, sit in the closet. Get your episodes, get your scripts, and you literally press record episode 1. Stop. Take your break to celebrate. That's what we gotta put on a shirt.
Yep.
We gotta put that on a shirt. So if you want that shirt, we don't have anything set up, but go ahead and pre-order down in the comments. We got you. Comment your size. That's what we mainly need. So to get back to this, with your batch recording, you record your episode, take your break. Go get you, use the restroom, go get you your coffee, your water, whatever. Come back, record episode 2. And you consistently repeat this process until you have recorded every episode that you have. Now, with that takes you back to your content calendar. With your content calendar, let's say you've recorded 10 episodes. Let's just say you recorded 10 episodes in this one day. You can do so many things. You can release these episodes once a week. You can record them every other week. You can go ahead, and if you're starting, one of the suggestions that we make is on day of release, you make episode 1 your introduction to the podcast. That way people know what your podcast is about. That way you can go ahead and instantly target your target audience or your niche audience straight out of the gate. Because if you're coming here, you're going to learn about podcasts. You're going to learn about lighting, video, photo. You're going to learn about all these things that we do here and also be educated, right? So with that, you hear that in episode 1. So then what I suggest is releasing at least 3 to 5 full episodes right behind that. And then from there, let's say you have those 10, and on day 1, episode 1 being your intro, you have 5 episodes. That means technically, if I'm doing my math correctly, you still have 6 episodes left, because we're not including your introduction as your first episode and the 10 that you batch recorded. You still have 6. What are you going to do? How are you going to release these? Understand what you recorded as your batch. Understand the topics and understand how they actually flow. Because for us, we can go over content strategy as your first real episode, but what's the point in giving you a strategy when we haven't even told you how to do a podcast, how to start a podcast, or why you should as an individual? We haven't covered any of this stuff, but we could have done this as episode 1. That's not helpful to the listener. You know what I'm saying? So you create your calendar from what you recorded, you get everything in order, figure out how you want to release these. And once you get those 2 things solidified, all you really have to do is sit back, enjoy. I say take a week and redo your outline, your batch outline. I don't even want to call it batch outline, because I don't want you to feel like you have to do more than 1 episode script at a time.
Yeah, and depending upon what your topic is on, it
Yeah.
might not be possible to do batch, recording. But even with the content calendar and thinking about that, depending upon what you're talking about, you would have to consider seasons, right? You have to consider different themes, whether it's a seasonal theme, whether it's a holiday. So let's say that, you're somebody that dissects the various religions, where you're going to have to know, the different important holidays or times of year that they celebrate things. And you're going to have to plan ahead. Hey, if I know that we're going to have to cover Easter, you got to plan ahead to record that content so that it'll be ready for when you want to release it. So taking into consideration the seasonal themes, holidays, let's say that you're in an industry, for instance, for us, we're talking about podcasts. They have a pod expo every year. If we wanted to do something to cover that and we want to talk to you all about, hey, this expo is coming up, well, we'll have to know what time of year it is so that we can start, getting that word out to you guys, ahead of time so that you all can plan and get there when you need to get there. So keeping that in mind as well. And then as far as the batch, I think that is great. The batch recording, I think that is great for those that may not have the ability to record consistently every single week, because sometimes life be lifing, you need to get some of those ahead of time. Our content is not necessarily based on current events or pop culture, anything like that, so we can record some of this information ahead of time. And let's say, for instance, we were talking about the equipment that we use and everything. Let's say that we upgrade our equipment. Guess what? Now we're going to record a new video later on down the line talking about that new equipment. Or let's say that something changes, we use Buzzsprout, we're talking about that, and now Buzzsprout has done something different with their technology, or they've gone away and you use somebody new. We can always update that information, but our information is not time critical. We're not based on the Met Gala. We're not based on the Olympics. That's what's going on right now. We're not we don't have to sit here and make sure that, hey, Tay, you got to get in here, we got to talk about swimming because tomorrow they're ready to start with gymnastics. We don't have that type of pressure. So if you don't have the pressure of being an on-time, real-time podcaster, then you can do batch recording.
Yeah, but if you can, do your batches. It like Shamar said, life be lifing.
Oh yes,
it saves you so much time in the future. For instance, if we was like, you know what, well let's record 3 episodes today. I've got them outlined, I've got them scripted out. We reviewed them, we looked at them, and we say, yeah, well, let's do 3. Well, let's say something happens and one of us has to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least we got 1 episode done. At least we got 2 episodes done.
Make right, because I'm about to leave right now.
See what I got to deal with, though? Y'all see this? Y'all see what I got to deal with? But, man, I forgot where I was going with that. I was really like, he can't, we in the middle of the episode? But it's like, oh, that's what I was saying. So if something happens, at least you can say, well, this goes back to your calendar as well. Well, I'm already scheduled out a month worth of episodes. So if we only were able to get 1 episode done to this, okay, well, that's fine because we done the batch record and, we're a month in advance. So, okay. And who knows, maybe at that point, one of those 3 episodes, I say, well, if this is the 3 that we were supposed to be doing together, which is another reason why you make sure that you have your episodes, outline in advance if possible. I can say, well, you know what, we can do this one together, but since Shamar's got to leave, let me go ahead and knock out this storytelling solo podcast. Now, I still have that, and because it's storytelling, I don't necessarily have to worry about where it's going to be placed. I just know it's already recorded, it's already done. So when you do your batch recordings, still make sure you evaluate everything. Regularly review your content strategy, see what's happening, see what if people are catching on. Check your performance metrics. Again, we always say and always will say, check your analytics. Go to your analytics, regardless of who you're, and I always try to get this right and I always mess it up, your host.
Yes.
Your host. Always check your host platform analytics, see where your ratings are at, see what is being watched and listened the most, evaluate, and adjust accordingly. Don't adjust with, man, forget it, I'm done, I quit. That's not an adjustment. That's just you just flat out quit.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm gonna throw this in there too. If you quit that early, either one, you didn't plan accordingly. You didn't really have a strategy. You didn't really have a topic that you were passionate about. You didn't have a topic that you liked or cared about. Evaluate that from the beginning.
True.
Because if you do that 3 episodes, 5 episodes, 10 episodes in, it's like, I ain't got nothing else to talk about. You didn't plan right.
Right.
So that could be part of your strategy out of the gate before anything as well.
Yeah. Identify what's working well. Identify what some of your struggles and opportunities are and adjust accordingly. If you know something is working well, continue to do that. I like to call it start, stop, continue. I ask, what do I need to start doing? What do I need to stop doing? And what do I need to continue to do? I'm going to continue.
I'm plugging this in. That shirt coming soon too. So make sure you check out that merch. Pre-orders available soon. Well, go ahead.
Yeah. So with that, I'm going to start, stop, continue. I can already tell you, I'm going to continue saying that I'm Tay's trusty sidekick. That's my thing. You know what I mean? What I'm going to stop doing is saying, and
yeah, that too, and
And then what I'm going to start doing is making sure that I prep myself a little more as well. Now, I'm not doing all that research that Tay is doing. I can already tell you that now. See, look at me getting myself out of doing some work.
Yeah,
but I will prep myself a little bit more so that I can have a better understanding and stuff. So I just gave y'all an example of, how this thing works. This thing works. And to Tay's point, you're quitting early. That's because you may not have planned it out. But then also you're not even looking at, hey, how can I pivot from here? Because that's just like when you get as a kid, I remember growing up, we wanted a video game. And when we could not win, we would be mad and frustrated. But then what you have to do is just figure out, how do I pivot? Because what was Mike Tyson? I used to play that game. And
Tyson Punch Out. Look at you dating yourself. Right. Go ahead, though. I ain't gonna lie, I played it too, but
Yeah, you got that one opponent that you could not beat. And then, it was my life's mission to get past that one opponent so I can get to the next. So same thing here. If you can't get past whatever hurdle, step back, figure it out, and then adjust yourself and see if that does it. Because this is a continual cycle. You're constantly evaluating and adjusting. You're constantly doing that because it's going to be an ongoing thing. I'm not to throw business in here, but that's something that I have to sit here and consider all the time as well. A business plan is not, one and done. It's a living, breathing document where you're having to adjust on a regular basis because you have a plan. However, hey, you got to pivot a little bit because like this space right here, this will go into a story time later, but just real quickly. Ooh, I'm acting like Tay. You might want to flag me in real quick. But, but what was I great? Oh, I know where I was going. So, this place originally, I opened it so I could do photography in here mostly, and then I was like, yeah, just throw the little podcast area upstairs. But the market said, hey, we want podcasts, video podcasts at that. So it's like, okay, you got to move with the market. Now you got to go back and adjust. Okay, how do I incorporate that? How do I focus on that, this and that? And that's how Charlotte Podcast.Studio was birthed in a very, very short nutshell.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think we've given y'all more than enough content strategy tips. We've given y'all stories and examples to go with them. Like I feel like this was actually a fun episode to do because in the midst of us giving you all content strategy tips and ways to improve or add on to your episodes or your podcast in general, we come up with ideas for merch that probably would not have just manifested the way that they did. So even in the midst of those, evaluate, adjust, hit your key pointers, know your audience, and I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting something because I'm always forgetting something. Am I forgetting something?
No, you're not.
Okay. So this episode. Get to work,
Get to
Get
work.
to work, man. At this point, if I'm remembering correctly, we've explained to you how and why, how to start a podcast, why you should start a podcast. And then we just gave you content strategies. If we haven't already, we will definitely go over equipment. Okay. I'm concluding.
I know. I'm just in case. Just in case.
I'm concluding. So this is also like the 5 paragraph thing that we were talking about. So at this point, I'm done talking. Shamar's trying to reel me back in, and I ain't even left the dock yet. So we just gonna close this episode here. My name is Tay. I'm the studio manager here at Charlotte Podcast.Studio.
And I'm Shamar, Tay's trusty sidekick.
Our website. I keep forgetting to do this too. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below if you're somewhere where a comment can be replaced. Like it, download it, share it. Do all those good things. Again, this is our call to action. Do all those things that help further what we're doing. That way we also know what else to give you all to help you all do what you're doing. Okay? CharlottePodcast.Studio is the website. You can reach us at info at CharlottePodcast.Studio. And with that being said, I think we're done.
We'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.